Hello students, we have heard quite often that mathematics mathematics is the language of physics. So before starting a course on physics, I'll take you through what are the fundamental rules or the concepts which you require in order to solve problems related to physics. So what are the concepts in mathematics that you can use as a tool in order to solve problems related to physics, right? So this is basically a lecture on basic mathematics. Now, in this course, the first topic which we'll discuss is elementary algebra. Now, in elementary algebra, you have some common formulas which you need to keep in mind. What are those common formulas? Those common formulas are a plus b whole squared, a minus b whole squared, a plus b plus c whole squared. Then you have a plus b and a minus b. Then you have a plus b whole cubed. After this, you have a minus b whole cubed. And then you have a plus b whole squared minus a minus b whole squared. And finally, you have a plus b whole squared plus a minus b whole squared. So these are the basic formulas which you need to remember always, right? Now what is a plus b whole squared? Let's start from the first one. So a plus b whole squared, you must be knowing it is a plus b and a plus b. If you write it like this, you can write it 2 times. Just multiply. So when you multiply a with a, you'll get a squared. When you'll multiply a with b, you'll get ab. When you'll multiply b with a, again you'll get ab. And when you'll multiply b with b, you'll get b squared. So this can be written as a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. If you'll do the same step in the second one, then you'll get a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Now I'll not do each and every formula right in detail. I'll just tell you what the values will be. So a plus b plus c whole squared will give you a squared plus b squared plus c squared plus 2ab plus 2bc plus 2ca. Then you have a plus b, a minus b. When you'll multiply them, you'll get a squared minus b squared. The formula for a plus b whole cubed is a cube plus b cube plus 3ab, and then you have in bracket a plus b. Similarly, formula for a minus b whole cubed can be written as a cube minus b cube minus 3ab and in bracket a minus b. When you'll put the values from here into this formula, you'll get it as 4ab. And again, when you'll put the values from there to here, you'll get the formula as 2a squared plus b squared. So again, these are the formulas which you need to keep in mind. The first one, a plus b whole squared, and the expansion is a square plus b square plus 2ab. A minus b whole squared, the expansion is a square minus 2ab plus b squared. If I'll ask you about a plus b plus c whole squared, it can be written as a squared plus b squared plus c squared plus 2ab plus 2bc plus 2ca. If I'll ask you what is a plus b into a minus b, it's a square minus b square. If I'll ask you what's a plus b whole cubed, it's a cube plus b cube plus 3ab in bracket a plus b. If I'll ask you what is a minus b whole cubed, you will say a cube minus b cube minus 3ab in bracket a minus b. If I'll ask you what is a plus b whole squared minus a minus b whole squared, you will say 4ab. If I'll ask you a plus b whole squared plus a minus b whole squared, what you will say 2 in bracket a squared plus b squared. So these are the most elemental formulas which you need to remember. Next concept is the concept of polynomial, linear and quadratic equations. So next concept which we have is polynomials. So you have polynomials, linear and quadratic equations. Now what they mean? Polynomials are actually functions like this. Polynomials are actually functions like this. So if you are writing, let's say, a function f, which can be written as a1, or you can say a0 plus a1x plus a2x squared plus dot 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 an x to the power n. So what you have here, there is a function that depends on some values a1, a2 up to an, where a0, a1 dot 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 up to an are basically real numbers. And these x's are what you call independent variables, right? So a function like this is what you call a polynomial, which is dependent on real numbers, right, a set of constants, and the value of x, which is a variable, right? Examples of that could be fx is equal to x cube plus 9x plus 4. Now there is a function which depends on a few constants like 1 here, 9 here, 4 here, and it depends on independent variables like x. So x to the power 3 depends on x. So the highest degree on which it depends is 3, right? How you measure the highest degree of the polynomial? You'll see the independent variable, which is x, and the maximum power to which it is raised, right? And this is the highest degree of polynomial you will have. Now for example, if you have, let's say, an equation like this, 3x squared y plus 4y plus 3. Now if I'll ask you what's the highest degree, then there are two independent variables, and if you have two independent variables, then you'll add up their degrees, right? So degree of x is 2 and degree of y is 1, so net degree is 3. So that's the highest degree of polynomial. So basically, if you have a single variable, you'll see the highest degree. If you have multiple variables, you will say that, okay, I'll measure degrees of both and then add. So highest degree of this particular polynomial is 3. Now if I'll write an equation like 2x plus 1, then what's the highest degree of polynomial? Then you'll consider x, and since x to the power 1 is there, so you'll say highest degree is 1. If I'll write 2xy plus 2, you will say highest degree of x is 1, highest degree of y is also 1, so you can write highest degree as 2. Similarly, if I'm writing, let's say, x square y squared plus 3x plus 4, then if I'll ask you what's the highest degree of the polynomial, you'll say for x it's 2, for y it's 2, so highest degree is 4. I hope you get the picture now. Now, what's a linear equation? Right? What's a linear equation? So the next definition which we have is, what's a linear equation? So what is a linear equation? Now having understood what polynomial is and what its highest degree is, linear equation can be defined as polynomials with degree 1, right? So linear equations are described as polynomials with degree 1. For example, let's say I'm writing an equation like 2x plus 3. Now if I'll ask you what the highest degree of the equation is, you'll say the independent variable x, and you'll say its power is 1, so you will say highest degree is 1. So this can be treated as a linear equation. Let's say you have an equation like x plus y. So if I'll ask you what the highest degree is, you will say x has 1, y has 1, but they are not in multiplication, right? So what will be the highest degree? Again 1. So again it can be treated as a linear equation. If I'll give you an equation like x, y, then you have x degree 1, y degree 1, they are in multiplication. And I told you if they are in multiplication, you add those degrees, so highest degree becomes 2. So this is not a linear equation. right? So linear equations are the polynomials of degree 1. Now, the second definition which you have here is what are quadratic equations? So what are quadratic equations? Now, we have defined polynomials as dependent on a set of constants and a set of unknown variables, and the highest degree to which the variable is raised upon, that's what you call highest degree of polynomial. So quadratic equations are polynomials with highest degree 2, right? For example, let's say I have an equation like 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. Now if I'll ask you what's the highest degree here, you'll consider this independent variable x. You'll see that the highest degree to which it is raised is 2. So highest degree can be written as 2, and this can be treated as a quadratic equation. No problems with that, right? So if the degree is 2, you will say that it's a quadratic equation. If the degree is 1, you will say it's a linear equation. Now there is something more to quadratic equations. And what is it? If you have a quadratic equation, let's say ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, right? So if you have a quadratic equation like this, now since it has a power 2, if you'll try to recall, x will have two values for which the equation is satisfied. So that means there will be two values of x, which when you'll put here, you'll get the answer as 0. And those two values, let's call them x1 and x2, or you can call them alpha and beta, doesn't matter, whatever seems convenient to you. These are what you call roots of the equation, right? So these two are what you call roots of the equation. Now, how to find out roots of an equation? The formulas are pretty simple. I'm going to tell you a few formulas related to quadratic equations which you need to keep in mind. So let's say you have a quadratic equation which is written as ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. This is the quadratic equation you have. And let's say you want to find out what are the roots, right? So roots of equation, quadratic equation can be written as minus b plus minus root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So that's the formula, right? So which one is alpha, which one is beta? You can take any one as alpha, any one as beta. But alpha, let's say I'm taking first. So it can be written as minus b plus, so I'm taking plus sign first, root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And if I'll ask you what is beta, you can write it as minus b plus or minus. It will be minus because plus we have already considered, right? So minus root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So these are the two roots. So if you are given with the equation like this and they are asking you to find out the roots or the two values of x for which the equation is satisfied, then these are the two values of x which you will get. Now, if I'll ask you what the sum of roots, so what you will say, sum of roots. So sum of roots, since you now got the roots, you'll just do alpha plus beta. So if you'll add them, this other factor will get cancelled out, b square minus 4ac and all, and you'll get finally only minus b by a left. So sum of roots is minus b by a. Now if I'll ask you what's the product of roots, so if you want to solve for, let's say, product of roots, then product of roots alpha into beta can be written as c by a, right? You can do these calculations by yourself, right? Product of roots can be written as c by a. And if I'll ask you what's the difference of roots, that's the last thing we have, that is difference of roots. Difference of roots, that is alpha minus beta, this can be written as root of b squared minus 4ac divided by a. So as far as quadratic equation is concerned, you will have to remember how to find out roots of an equation. You'll have to remember what the sum of roots are. You'll have to remember what the product of roots are. And you'll have to remember what the difference of roots are. Now, after quadratic equation, what we have here is, we have something which we call binomial expression. So what we have next is binomial expression. So binomial expression. What's a binomial expression? An algebraic expression containing two terms is called a binomial, right? An algebraic expression containing two terms is called a binomial. For example, a plus b is a binomial, 2x minus 3y is a binomial, x plus y is a binomial, x plus 1 by y is a binomial, x plus 9 by x is a binomial. So any algebraic expression that contain two terms is what you call a binomial expression. So these are what you call binomial expressions. Binomial expressions. Okay. Now, having understood that these are what you call binomial expressions, the next thing which we have is, what is binomial theorem for positive integrals, right? So what we have next is binomial theorem for positive integral index. So what's the binomial theorem for positive integral index? So if you have a binomial theorem like this, right, a binomial like this, x plus a, and it is raised to some power, let's say n, then the expansion of this is written as nc0 x to the power n plus nc1 x to the power n minus 1 into a to the power 1 plus nc2 x to the power n minus 2 a to the power 2. Then in continuation, finally it will be ncn a to the power n. It may seem overwhelming, but it's there in mathematics, right? Where a1, a2, a3 up to an are constants, as we have already studied. x1, x2, x3 and up to xn are also constants. Sorry, they are independent variables. Now what is this c, right? So NCR, we'll study this permutation combination. NCR is actually n factorial divided by r factorial n minus r factorial. What it means? It means that let's say you are having a number 5. So after 5, if you are putting exclamation sign, or if you are writing it like this, in both the cases we call it factorial of 5. Now what factorial of 5 means? 5 factorial means you'll first write 5, then decrease 1 from 5 and multiply it with 5, so you 4. Now decrease 1 from 4 and multiply with it, decrease 1 from 3, multiply with it, and decrease 1 from 2 and multiply with it. So what resultant you will get? 120. Similarly, if I'll ask you what's the factorial of 4, then this can be written as 4, then you subtract 1 3, then subtract 1 2, then subtract 1 1. So this will become 3 2 times is 6, 6 4 times is 24. And if I'll use this concept here, let's say I'm trying to find out what will be 5c4. So I'll write 5 factorial, which I've already found out. This is 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 divided by r factorial, that means 4 factorial. So I have already found it out. This is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. N minus r means 5 minus 4, that is 1 factorial. So you'll only write 1. right? So what you can see here is that 4 4 will get cancelled out, 3 3 will get cancelled out, 2 2 will get cancelled out. The answer will be 5. So this is how you calculate factorials, right? Or you can say this value of NCR. Now, having understood this thing, the next thing which we would like to do is binomial theorem. How we gonna use it, right? That's the important criteria, right? How you gonna use this binomial theorem, right? So that was the proper explanation, right? How the binomial theorem looks like. But I'll give you a simple example that is relevant in case of physics, which will help you get a grasp of binomial expansion in a better way. So if you have a function like 1 plus x to the power n, right? Then if x is much less than 1, then you can write this thing as 1 plus nx. This is the most important theorem which you will study, right? As far as binomial theorem is concerned, of course, right? In binomial theorem, this is the most important thing which you will utilize now and then in physics. Now, the proof of this thing I leave to you. You can take up an example 1 plus x to the power 2, put it in the values and solve it. So I leave this as an exercise to you, but this is the thing which you need to remember for sure, right? So 1 plus x to the power n can be written as 1 plus nx provided x is much less than 1. Now what's the use of it, right? What's the use of it? I'll tell you the use case for this. The use case for this theorem is that let's say you have a function like g dash is equal to gr squared divided by r plus h whole squared. Actually, this is the equation of gravitation with height. Right? So let's say this is the equation of gravitation with height. Now, what we need to prove is this, that if h is much less than r, then g dash is equal to g 1 minus 2h by r. Right? This is what we need to prove if this condition is true. So let's do it. I can write g dash is equal to g. Then I have r divided by r plus h whole squared. Now, if you'll simplify it further, g r, I can take r common. This will become 1 plus h by r. And then I have square over here. So r and r will get cancelled out. If I'll write down further, so g 1 by 1 plus h by r, and then you have whole squared. Now if I'll take this 1 plus h by r upwards, I'll get g in bracket 1 plus h by r to the power minus 2. Now just recall this theorem. It says that 1 plus x to the power n can be written as 1 plus nx provided x is much less than 1. Now since h by r is much less than 1, from where I got it? Because h is much less than r, so if we'll cross multiply, you'll get this relation. So I can take this approximation safely. So if I'll take this approximation, instead of n I have minus 2, so I can write it like this, g 1 plus, instead of n I have minus 2, and instead of x I have h by r. So if I'll use this and simplify it further, I'll get g 1 plus minus will become minus 2h by r, and this is what we were required to prove. So this was all about basic elementary algebra which you need to know, and